Hi, I'm Mike Bush. I want to acknowledge Commissioner Peter Marshall and his leadership over the last 3 years.
We're not perfect. We do make mistakes.
Peter's set the bar extremely high. One of the reasons our results are so good is because of the high levels of public trust and confidence. Because that's what enables us to do what we're here to do. And we all know what that is.
From Brendan Steen, June 3, 2012. Dear New Zealand Police, I write to request responses to 2 questions under the Official Information Act. The questions concern the regulations, policies or other guidelines that exist within the police with respect to the wearing of unique identifying information, either as part of the police uniform, or otherwise included in this, or what are commonly called badge numbers, and are worn by uniformed police employees on the shoulder. Question 1. What supplementary forms of evidence of identity, in terms of S96, 4 of the Policing Act 2008, are currently in use within the police for police employees, who would be generally regarded as uniformed officers? For the avoidance of doubt, this question does not seek information about the identification documents described in Reg 4 of the Policing Regulations 2008. Question 2. What regulations, policies, or other internal guidelines exist concerning the supplementary forms of evidence of identity referred to in Question 1, and what is their content? I thank you for your time and your help with this request. Yours faithfully, Brendan Steen. From McMahon, Teresa, New Zealand Police, June 6, 2012. Dear Brendan Steen, I refer to your request dated Sunday 3 June asking for information about police identification. Section 12, 1 of the Official Information Act 1982 states that any person, being a New Zealand citizen, or b a permanent resident of New Zealand, or c a person who is in New Zealand, or d a body corporate which is incorporated in New Zealand, or e a body corporate which is incorporated outside New Zealand but which has a place of business in New Zealand, may request a department or minister of the Crown or organization to make available to him or any specified official information. Police therefore asks that you provide an address or other advice to show you satisfy Section 12 of the Official Information Act. Police will then prepare a response to your information request. You have the right to complain to the Ombudsman if you are not satisfied with this response. Teresa McMahon, Police National Headquarters, Wellington. From Brendan Steen, June 11, 2012. Dear Ms. McMahon, as I am sure you are aware, the service that I elected to use to submit this request to your organization fee organ-Z is designed in such a way that all correspondence between the requester and the organization, from which information is requested, is publicly available on the Internet. I chose this mechanism deliberately, as I believe my question is one in which there is some degree of public interest. There is arguably also some public interest in the identity of requesters, and that is why I have put my full name to me inquiry. While I have no real objection to providing my address to you, there is certainly no public interest in me doing so in a way which makes the information available to all on the Internet. I will contact you directly at what I presume is your email address https fee.org/NZ help officers to provide the requested information. I would appreciate it if you would acknowledge receipt of that message by reply to this one. I should also mention, with respect, that I have some doubts about your stated reason for requesting my address. I do not believe that you could have any reason to doubt my eligibility under S12 to make a request for information, and can only conclude that your request is in fact aimed at frustrating the process. For that reason, I consider your request unreasonable, and will be making a complaint to the Ombudsman in those terms. Yours sincerely, Brendan Steen, New Zealand Police. June 12, 2012. Dear Mr. Steen, your request for information has been received and is being processed. Brendan Steen, OIA number 342. Email wrote dash 2 OIA requests at New Zealand Police. New Zealand Police request email from Brendan Steen, OIA number 342. Email date 03/06/2012 09:47 p.m. Subject: Official Information Act Request. Police Officer Identification. Dear New Zealand Police, I write to request responses to 2 questions under the Official Information Act. The questions concern the regulations, policies or other guidelines that exist within the police with respect to the wearing of unique identifying information, either as part of the police uniform or otherwise included in this, or what are commonly called badge numbers and are worn by uniformed police employees on the shoulder. Question 1. What supplementary forms of evidence of identity, in terms of S. 96, 4 of the Policing Act 2008, are currently in use within the police for police employees, who would be generally regarded as uniformed officers? For the avoidance of doubt, this question does not seek information about the identification documents described in Reg 4 of the Policing Regulations 2008. Question 2. What regulations, policies, or other internal guidelines exist concerning the supplementary forms of evidence of identity referred to in Question 1, and what is their content? I thank you for your time and your help with this request. Yours faithfully, Brendan Steen.
Right, and seeing as the response to Brendan from the police was in a PDF form, which I couldn't convert for my reader, I'll just do this because it's quicker. Okay, so this was dated 2nd of July 2012. Mr. B. Steen, care of FYI requests. Dear Sir, this is from New Zealand Operations Group Police National Headquarters. Okay, dear Sir, I refer to your request under the Official Information Act 1982, Police Officers Identification. You requested 1. What supplementary forms of evidence of identity in terms of Section 96, subsection 4 of the Policing Act 2008 are currently in use with the police for the police employees who would be generally regarded as uniformed officers. For the avoidance of doubt, this question does not seek information about the identification documents described in Regulation 4 of the Policing Regulations 2008. What regulations, policies, or other internal guidelines exist concerning the supplementary forms of evidence of identity referred to in Question 1, and what is their content? I can advise the New Zealand Police use 2 general forms of identification for uniformed officers. These are a police ID card, which, as required by Regulation 4 of the Policing Regulations 2008, contains the name and registration number of the constable along with a photograph of the constable, and a badge number, which is designated for that particular officer, for those members of the staff of senior sergeant rank and below, is worn when they are wearing uniform on police epaulets. The epaulets are worn, one on each shoulder of the uniform. The epaulets may be different, as these show the rank of the constable. The numbers are either on a round black disc or on an oblong piece of metal, both of which have the officer's registration number engraved on them. A name badge is also provided for the staff to wear, and if not wearing a badge number, a name tag should be displayed. The New Zealand Police Commercial Vehicle Investigation Unit officers also carry an additional identification card which consists of a photograph ID and a name declaring them inspectors under a specific act, i.e. dangerous goods enforcement officers. These identification cards are only used when specifically carrying out duties associated with dangerous goods. The carrying of these identification cards or wearing of name tags or badge numbers are covered by police policy and the provisions of the police manuals, which state, and I quote, "All police employees have an identification card issued by the Commissioner of Police which they carry with them whilst both on and off duty. This identity card has a photograph of the holder and in the case of a police constable highlights the fact that they hold the powers of a constable. Police do not have badges as such, but numbers of identity which are attached to police epaulets. We also have name tags which are either pinned on or fixed with a magnetic onto the uniform. It is, however, not compulsory to wear name tags. Some police staff are on duty but in plain clothes, CIB, photographers, youth aid staff. However, when off duty, there is a continuing duty by constables who have taken the constable's oath to keep the peace and prevent offences against the peace. Section 22 of the Policing Act, and we all know what that is. That's the constable's oath. And it doesn't just say that. Police staff, if in uniform, must produce the ID card to verify their identity. However, this is not always practical due to the circumstances of some incidents and would not be expected of police staff in a protest situation. Really? So in other words, you don't produce it to that they have it, if in uniform, must produce ID cards to verify their identity. However, it's not always practical if they are in a protest situation. Why on earth would a protest situation, when someone needs to identify an officer, is that not practical? I don't understand that one. Constables who interact directly with the public must be clearly identifiable by either name or registration number. Constables wearing uniform must wear detachable epaulets on their outermost upper body garment. Wear only one set of epaulets at a time. The epaulets must carry the employee's appropriate rank insignia for the senior sergeants, and below also include their registered numbers. The registered number is also to be placed adjacent to the outer edge of the epaulet. Any breach of the policy may result in an employment investigation under New Zealand Police Code of Conduct. If you are not satisfied with my response, you have the right to complain to the Office of the Ombudsman and seek a review of my decision. Yours faithfully, Barry Taylor, Superintendent Manager, National Operations Group. And he even signed it. Okay, so this is from the guy, Brendan Steen, 4 odd years ago now, who is basically wanting to know all the guff. What I like about this is that he's very good. He puts down the act section, subsection, which makes it very easy for anyone else to go and you know, look it up. So yeah, if you didn't know where all of the guff is about where they have to have their identifications, well, it's and covered by police policy under the provisions of the police manual. I'd love to see a copy of that police manual, but I'm sure we're not allowed it. Anyway, so in conclusion, as far as CP89, after placing the IPCA investigation in, partly about CP89 and the controversy there between whether or not is or isn't from Mount Wellington, according to Steve Samuels, and the fact that Steve Samuels basically wasn't forthcoming at all upon my request of the identity. So all he said was, not me, hot potato, next person on, but I'm not going to tell you who to go to, and stonewalled. They are all hiding behind the thin blue line. They do not want to be held accountable for their actions when they know they're doing wrong. And that little veil of secrecy that they like to hide behind, I mean, if they don't want to give out their name and details, I do. I don't give a flying fuck, to be quite honest. It's not me, it's just a name. So, you know, what cracks me up is people seem to think they're one and the same thing, and they're not. It's just like a company name. It's just where you function through in society. So, you know, and I like to hold the man accountable. So, you know, one of my subs said that if I was standing there that day and CP89 had tried doing that to me, it would have been fun. He would have got a half-hour law lecture straight away, if he'd tried even touching me. So, no problem. But never just comply. Never do what you're told. You may believe that you have to, or believe because of this, or believe because of that. Beliefs are something absent fact. If you need to, you know, just follow the rest and be that way, then that's okay. More power to you. If that's what you want to do, who am I to judge? Myself, I these days act on facts, evidence, logic, you know, simple things that most people tend to forget about. Common sense seems to have gone out the window these days. But if someone says I have to do something, I'm just going to take the word for it. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to find out the evidence. If someone says you can't do something, identify who the you character is for a start, and then ask him what the hell he's talking about. If any police officer starts telling you under blah 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 section of subsection of this act and that act, just like me, I'm not legally trained, and neither the fuck are they. Right? They are not legally trained to comprehend the true meanings of the words in the legislature. You have to go to someone who's legally trained, or the author of any document, to understand legalese. You're not going to go into China and start speaking Japanese and complain because no one's understanding you. It's the same thing. So a cop may believe that under a subsection blah 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 act, they have the power to do blah 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 blah. Okay. They also may believe in Santa, fairy tales, tooth fairy, unicorns, you know, there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. They can believe anything they like. That's the beauty of imagination. People believe in religion, they believe government has authorities. They only derive it from someone in the first place. You. Or thou, thy, me, myself, I. Anything but a you. If you want to be a you, be fleeced, you know, led to the slaughter, kept in a fucking in a fence, you know, you don't bother about checking the fucking fence lines and getting out of it. You're just quite happy and content just to be beautiful. And you can. Some people find it hard to grasp it. To, you know, knowledge is a scary thing, and too much knowledge can be extremely dangerous. But if you go through an analytical process where you understand that from point 1 to point 10, you know what steps things go, the same will work for anything. I can build your house, build a car, wire it, plumb it, I can do anything because I don't think I can't. If I lack the knowledge on how to do something, I'll go and research it so I find out how. But I'm never going to go say, oh, that's too hard, and forget about it. Anyone else can do it, so why can't I? You know, it's you've got to stop being self-defeating in a way, and just think that you've got a brain, you're all just as equal as I am, you know, and to the naysayers and the trolls and the get a life, get a job, what a toothless, go kill yourself, all those wonderful people out there that really need to look in their own mirrors. You know, I understand. You know, someone's challenging your belief with actual facts and evidence, and fuck me. You know, I was the same way. I used to be a staunch defender of the system 20 years ago. Man, I paid taxes for 30 years, paid into the system. I was working from 13 years onwards, paying PAYE, or 13 or 14, doing the milk rounds, paper rounds. Man, I worked my ass off to get what I wanted. I didn't have mummy or daddy just buying me stuff like it is these days. You know, so just put it into a broader context. Don't expect to go out there and change other people. I don't expect you guys to take what I'm saying on board. You may do, you may not. Completely up to the individual that's watching. But, you know, the only person you can change is yourself. Or the only man or woman, should I say, that you can change is yourself. So, yeah, think about things. That's all I'm asking. Think. Don't be closed-minded and say, oh, that guy's just an idiot, blah, 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 and dismiss it, because that's just the height of ignorance. Especially if you don't have any facts to back your point of view, or your opinion, if you're just using a belief system to have your judgments. Alright? Much love to you all. Hope you enjoy my shit. I will sporadically be doing editing and putting them up, but I do have quite a busy life at the moment. I've got a lot of things rolling around on the plate, so we'll see how we go. I haven't forgotten about Selwyn. I will be chasing him. See you guys. Bye.
We will deal with this situation. Thank you very much.
Now fuck off.